Across America, millions live with a quiet anxiety, checking their bank accounts, hoping to make it to payday. For many, this is a daily ritual, a constant calculation of what can be paid now and what must wait. The stress isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about the uncertainty that shadows every decision, from buying groceries to filling up the gas tank. 60% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. One unexpected bill, a car repair, a medical emergency, even a higher than usual utility bill can send their finances into chaos. There's little room for error, and even less for dreams or plans for the future. This isn't just about poor budgeting, it's a system where stability is always out of reach. Wages have stagnated while the cost of living, rent, food, healthcare, keeps climbing. For many, no matter how hard they work, the finish line keeps moving further away. The emotional toll is immense: stress, shame, and a constant fear of falling behind. It's a weight that seeps into relationships, health, and even sleep. People feel isolated, believing they're alone in their struggle, when, in reality, it's a shared national crisis. The American dream has shifted from building a better life to simply surviving until the next direct deposit. Small victories, like making rent or paying off a bill, are celebrated, but the relief is always temporary, replaced quickly by the next wave of worry. Even middle-class professionals, teachers, nurses, tech workers, are feeling the squeeze as costs rise faster than salaries. These are people who once felt secure, now finding themselves making tough choices and cutting back on essentials. Making it now means not having to choose between groceries and the electricity bill. For many, it's about juggling priorities, sacrificing one necessity for another, and hoping nothing else goes wrong. The economy may be growing, but for most, that growth feels like a party they're not invited to. Rising stock markets and corporate profits don't translate to relief for everyday families struggling to keep up. The silent squeeze is now impossible to ignore. It's a reality that demands attention, compassion, and real solutions, because behind every statistic is a family, a neighbor, a friend, just trying to get by. Earning $100,000 used to mean financial comfort, not anymore. Nearly half of Americans making six figures still live paycheck to paycheck. In cities like New York or San Francisco, high salaries are devoured by rent, student loans, childcare, and health insurance. The illusion of wealth lingers, but the reality is a frantic juggling act, one layoff away from disaster. Social pressure pushes high earners to maintain appearances, often relying on credit to fill the gaps. The old promise, work hard, earn more and you'll be secure, no longer holds up. Even the winners are struggling, exposing a system that's failing everyone. The game is rigged when a good job still isn't enough. Grocery prices have surged over 25% since 2019, and for many families, that means the weekly trip to the supermarket has become a source of anxiety. Items that were once affordable staples, milk, eggs, bread, now feel like luxuries. Shoppers are forced to make tough choices, putting back items they used to buy without a second thought. A $500 monthly food bill is now $625, and that extra $125 can mean the difference between a balanced diet and going without. For those living paycheck to paycheck, every dollar counts, and the rising cost of groceries is stretching budgets to the breaking point. Rent has jumped more than 30% nationwide, with some cities seeing even steeper hikes. Finding an affordable place to live is harder than ever, forcing many to downsize, move farther from work, or take on roommates just to keep a roof overhead. Utilities like electricity are up nearly 29%, making basic comforts a source of stress. People are turning down thermostats, unplugging appliances, and watching every kilowatt, but the bills keep climbing, leaving families worried about how to stay warm in winter or cool in summer. Car insurance premiums have soared 40 to 50%, and owning a car is now a punishing necessity. For many, driving to work or school is unavoidable, but the costs of gas, insurance, and maintenance are eating up more of every paycheck. Healthcare costs keep climbing. Premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses eat up raises before they're felt. Even with insurance, a single illness or emergency can set a family back thousands, making healthcare a constant worry. Every essential, food, shelter, transportation, health, costs dramatically more. The price of simply getting by has skyrocketed, and there's no sign of relief. For most, there's no room to cut back further. Families are already skipping treats, clipping coupons, and stretching every dollar, but it's not enough to keep up. The result, Americans are battered by a tidal wave of expenses from every direction. Bills pile up, savings dwindle, and the stress takes a toll on mental health and family life. The basics of life have become unaffordable. More people are forced to make impossible choices between food and medicine, rent and utilities, or even between paying bills and saving for the future. The cost crisis is everywhere, and it's relentless. It touches every household, every community, and it's changing the way Americans live, work, and dream about the future. American workers are running faster just to stay in place, or fall behind. Wage gains are wiped out by inflation. A 3% raise means little when costs jump 5% or more. Since 2019, prices have risen 20%, but median wages haven't kept up. Families have less real income, working harder for less security. The inability to save leaves people one emergency away from debt. Cutting back only goes so far. You can't skip food or electricity. The cycle of wage stagnation and rising costs erodes hope and trust in the system. The promise that hard work leads to a better life is broken for many. We're producing more, working more, and falling further behind. Credit cards have become a lifeline, not a luxury. For millions of Americans, plastic is the only way to bridge the gap between paychecks and the rising cost of daily life. Groceries, gas, and even utility bills are now routinely paid with borrowed money, as wages struggle to keep up with inflation and the cost of living soars. Americans now owe over $1.3 trillion in credit card debt, mostly for basics, not luxuries. This staggering figure isn't about extravagant spending, but about survival. Families are forced to rely on credit just to keep the lights on and food on the table, turning what was once a safety net into a daily necessity. With interest rates averaging 22%, minimum payments barely dent the balance. Month after month, the debt grows, and the interest compounds, making it nearly impossible to catch up. Even a small emergency can push a family further behind, as every dollar borrowed comes with a heavy price. Each swipe is a temporary fix with a long-term cost, trapping families in a cycle of debt. The relief of getting through the week is quickly replaced by anxiety when the bill arrives and the cycle starts all over again. The stress of owing money for groceries and gas is relentless. It's a constant weight, affecting mental health, relationships, and even the ability to plan for the future. For many, the pressure never lets up. Financial companies profit from this desperation, pushing buy now, pay later, and higher credit limits. These offers seem like solutions, but often lead to even deeper debt as people are encouraged to spend money they don't have on things they can't afford to wait for. Survival debt is normalized, masking the cracks in the economy. Using credit for everyday needs is now so common that it barely raises an eyebrow, even as it signals a deeper problem beneath the surface. On the surface, families seem fine, but debt is quietly piling up. The appearance of normalcy hides the financial strain, as many work harder just to stay afloat, hoping things will get better. The plastic lifeline is really an anchor, pulling millions deeper into financial quicksand. What once offered hope now threatens to drag families under, as the burden becomes too heavy to bear. Escaping this debt trap is nearly impossible for many. Without real solutions, the cycle continues, leaving countless Americans struggling to break free from the grip of survival by credit. Debt is now a defining feature of American life, Student loans, car payments, and high rent or mortgages are inescapable for most. The average student loan balance is $38,000, delaying major life milestones. Car payments top $700 a month, with long loan terms, for a necessity, not a luxury. Homeownership is out of reach for many, forcing people into expensive rentals. High fixed costs mean paychecks are spent before they arrive. There's little left for savings, emergencies, or even basic needs. Escaping the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle is harder than ever. Debt isn't temporary, it's a permanent reality for the majority. The American dream is now mortgaged, leased, and financed. Today's crisis isn't about unemployment, it's about digital debt. Technology makes borrowing instant and invisible. Loans and buy now, pay later are just a tap away. It's easy to slip into debt without realizing, as frictionless apps encourage spending. Gig work promises flexibility, but delivers instability. No benefits, no steady income, no safety net. Income volatility forces reliance on credit, deepening the debt spiral. Algorithms target the vulnerable, pushing high-interest loans at moments of desperation. The digital age has created a personalized, relentless debt trap. Economic hardship is now engineered and automated. The crisis is uniquely modern and insidiously effective. Official stats say the economy is strong, low unemployment, rising GDP, but these numbers hide the reality. Most jobs are low-wage, part-time, or unstable. The Consumer Price Index averages out costs, masking the real pain of rising essentials like rent and food. GDP growth often benefits the wealthy, not the struggling majority. The statistical mirage lets leaders ignore the crisis, blaming individuals instead of the system. Politicians tout prosperity while millions worry about their next meal or tank of gas. To understand the crisis, we must look past the headlines and listen to real stories. The American dream is on life support. Hard work no longer guarantees security. Even six-figure earners are one emergency away from disaster. This isn't a temporary blip, it's a systemic breakdown. We must break the silence and shame around financial struggle. This is a shared crisis. Question the rosy statistics. Demand a true picture of the economy. Financial literacy means understanding the forces shaping our lives, not just budgeting. A society living in constant financial anxiety is unstable and unsustainable. The future depends on demanding a system that works for everyone, not just the lucky few.